all that she does at this hospital is walk into her room after like all the mess has happened and be like, you guys are bad for making this mess. Now I have to clean it up. And then she walks out.
That's what I do. That's what I do at the Daily Beast.
It's true.
That's a boss role.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Obsessed the Podcast. I'm Kevin Fallon, here to guide you through all the TV shows, movies, and celebrity nonsense that we think is unmissable. And today I'm joined by my boss, Joanna Coles.
Boss, I'm not sure I am your boss. I think Kevin's the boss of everybody.
In my dreams. How are you, Joanna?
I'm good. I'm not good. I'm suffering from the fact we lost an hour's sleep over the weekend, and every hour counts.
And on International Women's Day, of all things.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it was a short International Women's Day, and I think it's a conspiracy.
It's true.
Yeah, they just want fewer hours for women to celebrate themselves.
Not be like more on brand for them to take away sleep from the women on the day that they're supposed to be celebrated.
Exactly right. And now I'm feeling haggard, and you can hear it in my voice, actually. I can't afford to lose an hour's sleep, Kevin.
Neither can I. And I'm a man. So apparently that doesn't like I don't deserve to be celebrated.
I think men are celebrated every day. Isn't the point of one Women's Day that we get to celebrate 51% of the population the rest of the time? It's a crazy celebration of guys.
That's true. I'm very excited to talk to you today because we're going to say a hard truth to the people today.
Okay.
We're talking about bad season 2s. And I think we're going to tell people something that they need to hear that they may not want to hear.
Okay.
All right, let's do it together.
All right.
The Pitt is bad this season.
It's flatlining.
Yeah. It's the show that like won every award for the last year. It just won again on the Actor Awards the last weekend. And we're now watching season 2, and it's just not good this year. What is going on with the show?
Well, I think what's going on with the show, there are so many things going on with the show. And I want to preface this by saying that I watched season 1 on a flight. So in-flight or mile-high viewing is not the same as regular viewing. But I was tucked into a little cabin. I was feeling, I'd had a conference, it had gone well, and I was ready to relax, and I inhaled 12 episodes. And I thought, oh, this is absolutely magic. I think what's happened to it is that they have been taking too much advice from actual medical people about how to make it authentic. So I don't doubt some of the authentic details. Mm-hmm. However, as anybody knows, in any career whatsoever or any industry whatsoever, you don't want the authentic details as a viewer. You want fucking drama.
Right.
You want action. You want good-looking people. I don't want every single doctor to have some kind of social malady. Where is the Dr. Ross here? And if you're going to put Noah Wiley in a show, the first thing we're going to think about is he's not George Clooney. So you better give us something else. And that was a tornado of a show. So was Grey's Anatomy. Everybody was sleeping with each other, which is, I think, also what happens in hospitals because people don't have enough sleep. The only people they see are our colleagues. I'm not in any way maligning the medical profession. Yeah, absolutely not saying that at all, although a lot of doctors and nurses do get married. But they spend so much time at work. It's so intense. Yeah. They have these intense relationships. None of that is happening in the Pit. And there isn't a single good-looking person there.
And that's a very weird thing where, like, obviously every patient's case is life or death. It's literally emergency room. But I still feel like nothing is happening on the show.
It's not life or death. People come in with a series of minor ailments. And I feel, and also we should just say for people who haven't seen it, that the conceit is that your every episode is an hour and it's supposed to add up to one full day. You feel like you are trapped in the waiting room with people going, hey, when is somebody going to see me? Because I can't sit with this much longer.
Well, that's a big difference between season 1 and season 2. In season 1, you're like, I cannot believe this is still the same day. These poor people. In season 2, you're just like, I can't believe I'm still watching the same fucking day.
Right. And also, there's no character development in it, really. So I thought there was going to be promising character development in season 1. We didn't quite get there. But the truth is, these shows, I think, to work with a big audience, need to have a much bigger, soapier part of them. They really need, it's about the relationships.
Yeah.
And there just isn't enough of it. And I think it probably reflects on something HBO is going through, which is HBO isn't quite sure who it is or what it is right now. And you can see it reflected in the drama.
And there's an interesting thing, too, that what going on with what you just mentioned, which is that we're now 2 seasons into the show, and we know nothing about Dr. Robbie.
No.
Nothing.
We know nothing about him.
He's the lead character of this Emmy-winning show, and we know nothing about him besides that he rides a motorcycle. And people, I guess, are upset about that.
Right. And I would like to see him riding the motorcycle because we never actually see him on the damn bike. We just hear about the bike.
He had a hard time during COVID. That's his trauma, is that he lost.
We all had a hard time during COVID. Get over it. You're a doctor. Come on, man. COVID was your Super Bowl.
COVID was your Super Bowl.
But I mean, if you're a doctor, you're living for a pandemic, aren't you? If you're an emergency room doctor, this literally is the time of your life. You can try everything. You can do anything. I understand, and I'm not being facetious here because I understand it was a horrible time at the beginning of COVID. But we were all traumatized by COVID. I don't need to relive it on the Pit unless you're going to bring something of enormous sex appeal. And this show has none of the sex appeal of a traditional medical show.
Yeah.
I understand they were trying to do something different, but now I feel like I'm trapped in the waiting room.
Well, it's interesting to see that because they brought in a character this season, this new attending who is going to take over for Dr. Robbie when he leaves on this
On his mistress
motorcycle.
sabbatical.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And everyone apparently has a crush on her. Everyone in that hospital.
I don't have a crush on her. The viewers, I don't think, have a crush on her.
So she has not won you over.
She hasn't won me over. And all the doctor I do like is the incredibly... there is one very attractive person on the show, I should say. I've slightly ridden over her. I can't remember her name because she's not in it enough. That's the other problem.
Is this the surgery lady who comes in and yells at everyone and then just leaves?
It might be. It might be. I wish I
picture-
could remember her name. She's extremely good looking and she appeared to have a crush on one of the younger female doctors, the one that ratted out the other doctor for stealing drugs.
Right. So I know who that doctor is. Who's someone that I'm wondering who you're thinking about.
She looks Ethiopian.
Okay, so we're talking about the same person.
Okay, she's beautiful. She's really beautiful, but she doesn't have a big enough role.
I love her role, though, because literally all that she does at this hospital is walk into her room after, like, all the mess has happened and be like, you guys are bad for making this mess. Now I have to clean it up. And then she walks out.
That's what I do. That's what I do at the Daily Beast.
It's true.
That's a boss role. That's a boss role.
Let me tell you about this clever way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinks with friends. It's called ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink, and it's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Invented by PhD scientists, here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that is to blame for rough days after drinking. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel like yourself the next day. March is packed with social plans, so don't wait. Act now. Go to zbiotics.com/dailybeast and use code dailybeast at checkout for 15% off your first order. And if you're not satisfied, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee.
And I thought Nurse Dana, who I really like, in the first season when she got beaten up by a frustrated patient who'd been waiting too long, I shared his frustration.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't have jumped her in the way that he did, obviously. She's just sort of disappeared this season. I mean, she's there, but she just says very methodical. She's there, but she just says very dull things. And they haven't allowed her to develop at all.
Have you seen the meme of her saying, "Baby Jane Doe"?
No.
Baby Jane Doe?
No, I haven't. Oh, I know. That's a strange storyline too.
I know, but it's like the way that she says it has become this like massive meme that people are now on red carpets asking actors to scream "Baby Jane Doe"
Lord.
in the Nurse Dana voice.
Good Lord. It's alarming what's happening to us. But I think the other problem is that when you have John Wells and you have a medical show, and he was the guy that created a show that we all wanted to get ill so that we could sort of live vicariously
George
by.
Clooney.
Yes. I understand he has to do something different, but this feels like it's so striving for authenticity that it's left all efforts at drama behind.
And also, in order to keep us all hooked with this, 1 hour per episode conceit, every episode is ending with a cliffhanger. That to me is so contrived. Like last week, it ended with them staring at a TV screen with the news playing about a water slide at a water park falling on July 4th. I'm just like, oh yeah, of course. Like, come on.
Well, I like a good cliffhanger. If you're going to bring me back the following week, I do want a cliffhanger. So I'm not going to object to that. That to me is drama, but I think it's slightly exploitative. I thought the shooting episode that dragged on over 2 episodes in the first season was exploitative and too social policy on the sleeve. I don't want to be lectured at while I'm watching television. And I literally think what's happened is actual doctors and actual people in ERs have got in the heads of the writers, and they're so determined to make it real that they've lost all pretense at drama, other than the kind of cliffhanger.
How did you feel about the way they handled the ICE storyline recently?
I have given up, Kevin. I'm afraid I sort of gave up at episode 5, and I was like, yeah, literally, when I opened by saying it's flatlined, it's flatlined.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get through the season.
There was a bit of a controversy because they had a storyline about siblings who are going to be separated because their parents were deported by ICE. And so this young woman was now taking care of her younger brother. And he had a 4th of July accident, like fireworks, the normal teenage nonsense. And because of that, they were going to have to call in child services to separate them. And people were like, it was interesting that you introduced a nice storyline, but then you never explored it beyond this very base level.
Well, I think it's just trying to hit all the sort of political notes it can, the difficulties over Obamacare, ICE, the fact that nobody in the show has enough insurance to cover them, but miraculously they always get seen by a caseworker who's going to help them. So it's like enough already. I'm living in the real world. I want to see a fantasy of good-looking nurses and doctors taking care of people.
I know.
Is that too much to ask?
Sit Noah Wiley shirtless. Let's just do that. That's all we want.
Sure that I hate to say this, and I think Noah Wiley is a good actor. I don't think he's a leading man.
Interesting.
I don't think he's a leading man.
Okay. Well, I'll tell Noah's people.
Don't tell Noah's. I don't think he's a leading man.
Interesting.
So, and if you think about who he's up against, obviously Dr. Ross, Patrick, what was the name of the guy? Patrick Dempsey, Eric Dane, who tragically just died. I know this is HBO, but I would have put in, who's the guy from Task?
Oh, Mark Ruffalo?
I would have put Mark Ruffalo in there. Mark Ruffalo's a very realistic. I think he could have played a fantastic doctor.
So I had the opposite reaction when the show premiered, where I was like, oh my God, I am so wildly attracted to this scruffy doctor man, Noah Wiley.
Right.
I was so into it.
Well, we have different points of view, Kevin. That's what makes a show. That's what I just don't think he brings it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we're talking about season 2s that disappointed us, and I hear that there's another show that's airing right now, or recently.
There's another show
has disappointed you.
Yeah, and again, the thread here is that I watched it. So I watched the Pitt on the way back from a trip to a Gulf state, and I watched Landman on the way there and was obsessed. Who doesn't want to watch Billy Bob Thornton? He would make a great emergency room doctor because he'd be fucking up on patients all the time. He is so watchable, and he reminds you there are just so few actors that have that power. And I loved season 1. Absolutely loved it. Season 2, I just think, what's going on with the old people's home? That doesn't ring true at all. And also the old people aren't old enough. And I don't like the women characters. I find them embarrassing, and I don't know what's happened to that show. I don't know whether or not they wrote it in a hurry, which is what it feels like. It feels like they wrote it over a period of 3 weeks, and they just didn't have enough time to draw the characters out.
Well, there are so many shows in that Yellowstone universe that I think that might actually be true. They probably did just write it over the course.
Right, and then they have another one launching, which I'm going to the screening of tonight, The Madison, with
Michelle
Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Who looks amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm only going so I can see Michelle Pfeiffer.
Ask her
She's so
every
gorgeous.
secret to her. What is she doing that she looks this good right now?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to write down every doctor she uses. Or maybe she doesn't use doctor. Maybe it's just being married to David E. Kelly. But
Just being rich.
But I thought that was such an interesting show because it was about something we haven't seen for a long time. It has echoes of my favorite show of all time, Dallas, because it's about Texas oil. Demi Moore, John Hamm, how can you go wrong? Well, they immediately kill off John Hamm. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the first season. Sorry about that. But why wouldn't you keep John Hamm in any role possible? He's a leading man. And then Billy Bob Thornton. And then incredible views of oil country. I mean, those amazing derricks going in and out. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. So what's been going on this season that's been disappointing you?
Well, I just hate the Ali Larter character, Billy Bob's wife.
Yeah.
And his daughter is made to be, she's a sort of cheerleader. She just seems like she has the mental age of 11. And it just seems weirdly backwards, and I hate to use the word misogynistic, but it's very hard to feel sympathy for either of the two women. And then they do this voluntary work in an old people's home, which really comprises of taking old people to a strip club and plying them with frozen margaritas, which just doesn't... It's just such a weird plot line.
Yeah. This is also bringing up something for me, which is I don't usually celebrate when they announce that a TV show is having a season 2, because I think things should just exist as the one good thing they already were. Like, I remember a recent example was Yellow Jackets, that show with Mel Alinsky and all the cannibalism in the woods. That first season was so good. An exquisite, perfect season of TV. And then we did the second season, which was The Pits. It was so bad. Every fan of the show jumped off the train, and it went on for another 2 or 3 more seasons after that. Yellow Jackets is a great example. The show should only exist for one season when it's good. Big Little Lies. That second season with Meryl Streep was terrible.
Right.
Why do we always insist on making things last longer than they should?
Well, I think it's partly to amortize the cost of the production, right? And also, if people love something, you want to bring back the next version. There are tons of shows that run for season after season, Emily in Paris being one, where people are just so excited to see them. But I think, but certainly in the case of Landman and The Pit, it just feels like they weren't paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for Emily in Paris, Emily in Italy. Now it's
Emily in Greece.
Emily in Greece.
Emily in Greece. Now, I should
put Emily everywhere.
I should declare a conflict of interest here because my son works on the show. So I'm just going to say it out loud. But it is one of those shows that, we've just had, I think, have we had season 5 or season 6?
I think it was season 5.
Okay, so they're working on season 6 now, and I can't wait for it because it's just got all the elements of a show I would like. It's beautifully shot, fun storyline, and good-looking people. I think you underestimate the need. Right, you need good-looking people. I mean, come on, Gabriel. Who doesn't want to watch Gabriel flipping an omelette?
Just every shirtless man in that season was just thank you, God, for giving me this on Netflix right now.
Yeah, Alfie. Let's just sit and chat with Alfie.
Yeah.
Which leads me to, can I mention a new show I've been watching?
Yes.
And then I want to talk about our recovery shows.
Okay.
Vladimir.
Leo Woodall.
Oh
my God.
In all shows. Yes. I mean, magnificent in the second episode, the second series of White Lotus,
yes.
Which is a show that's gotten better season after season.
Yeah.
Great example of a great writer and a great team. I mean, I've only watched the first episode, but I was just hooked.
So let's set that up for people. So it's Leo Woodall and it's Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
And she's a professor, I believe.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, I mean, 2 dramas at the moment that we have with Rooster on HBO and Vladimir, which are based in small college campuses, which revolves around a professor sleeping with a student, and hilarity then ensues. Of course, it doesn't really ensue in real life. I'm not being facetious here. I am being facetious, but it's used as a big plot point from which everything ripples, and you've got the heavenly John Slattery, so good in Landman, so good in Modern Love, in the episode he does with Tina Fey.
Oh my God, yes.
They play tennis.
I forgot about that episode. He's so good in that.
He's so good. He's brilliant in this. And there's a fantastic exchange where they're in their wonderful kitchen. And it's set somewhere, I guess, in New England. It feels like New England, right? Or possibly the UK.
I feel like every college show just feels like it's in New England.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter where it is. It's just spiritually New England.
It is spiritually New England. And they have a wonderful conversation where she's discovered that he's just been sleeping with all these students. And he's just like, oh, get over it. And she's like, what? Get out, get out. And he's like, oh, you don't mean that, for goodness sake. And then she chases him with a hand blender, which she switches on. And it's just such a great moment. And I loved it. I loved it. I think it's really promising. And then, of course, there's the arrival of Leo Woodall, which is going to create great disruption for Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
It's really well observed, I thought. And then there's Rooster, which I really enjoyed from the stable.
That's a Steve Carell HBO show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, also set in a small town. Also lecturer, professor, tenured professor who has an affair with a student, and hilarity/tragedy ensues.
Well, I'm glad that there are now like 2 new shows at least to counteract this disappointment that we're experiencing of these other shows that we've loved.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want to commit to something. And if you've committed to a whole season 1, you feel like you deserve a good season 2.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to chat with you about, because we have both recently had we've had surgery, and we had to spend a few days, which is against our nature.
Right, recuperating.
Just locked in our houses, lying on a bed.
Right. Not able to move very much.
Unable to move and able to work, which is, again, not something that we're used to.
And also I found, I don't know if you found this, not really able to read. I didn't have the attention span to read. I took a ton of books to the hospital with me. I had a second hip replacement, just in case anybody thinks it's more serious than that. And it's a very good operation, so I'm not complaining, except that there's a bit of downtime with it. But I didn't find I could read.
Yeah. And I had a plastic surgery reconstruction of my face, in case you can. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, the attention span is gone when you're going through something like that.
Yeah,
so,
you can't even pick up a book.
It's the best you can hope for is just turn something on to just like play in the background while your brain races and is a mess. So I'm curious, what did you watch?
Well, the first hip replacement I had in September, a British friend came over and we sat and watched The Girlfriend, which set...
That's such a good show.
Yeah, Netflix, 6 episodes, set in London. We parcelled it out, I think 1 every evening. Maybe we did a bender and we had 2 episodes on one evening. But I really enjoyed it. First, I love shows set in London, just love them. Love The Diplomat for that reason too. Partly because I used to live there, so it's nostalgic for me, but it's just such a beautiful city to watch. And I loved it. You know, is she or isn't she the girl at the centre of the story? Is she or isn't she a crazy person? And as the mother of 2 sons, I'm always anxious about who are they going to bring home. And so I watched it with great attention to detail, and it was just fun. It's a fun thriller.
Yeah. I do the opposite, where I watch something that is very comforting to me, a sitcom, very easy to watch.
Which one? Not Golden Girls?
No, but it's as gay.
Go on.
Designing Women.
Oh, Designing Women. I haven't seen that. Tell me everything.
Oh, my God. It is so good. It's 4 women who, including Jean Smart, who is now on Hacks and amazing. They live in the South in Atlanta. They run a design firm. And it's like about their sort of like navigating through trying to be liberal, radicalized women in a space where that takes a lot of effort. Every episode has like one like barn burning monologue where someone is just like telling someone else off, and the writing is so good.
Oh, I have to watch it. Where is it?
It's on Hulu.
Okay.
I ended up watching like 5 seasons of it during.
Wow, 5 seasons.
Well, they're 20-minute episodes, so it's
Okay.
not that impressive. But there's just something about it that I just found, especially now where it's hard to be inspired to be radical because we're just now so used to everything disappointing us that you kind of just like shrug off every new slight and every new controversy that's happening in politics. Just like, oh, this again, like, fuck. Watching these women just become so fired up was really inspiring to me.
Well, I don't want you getting too fired up, Kevin.
Well, we'll see.
But I'm going to watch it. I haven't actually. I've heard of it, but I've never watched it, and I didn't know this is what it was about.
It's really good, and it did the thing which actually you brought up Golden Girls. Golden Girls is another example of this, where sitcoms in the 80s and 90s actually tackled really provocative politics. They tackled trans issues, gay issues, feminist issues,
Murphy Brown,
HIV and AIDS, Dan Quayle with Murphy Brown. They did these things in ways that were like really specific and had a point that if any sitcom on ABC or NBC or CBS right now tried to do, they would be taken off of air. Like imagine Barry Weiss dealing with young Sheldon talking about politics on his show.
right?
Like she would have that off the air immediately. So it was really interesting to watch something from 30 years ago that was doing this with such purpose.
So I almost never rewatch things. I watch them once and then I want something new. My only recent experience of rewatching things has been that I've been having oxygen treatments where you have to lie in a barometric chamber for 2 hours and you can't have a book in there, you can't have earpods, you can't have anything in there. You're in a paper outfit because of the pressure of the oxygen and the likelihood that you might spontaneously combust, I suppose. And so there's a screen outside and you can't really see it because of the curvature of the oxygen tank or chamber that you're in. And so the only point, and you're in there for 2 hours. So the only thing you can do is rewatch something so you've got a familiarity with it because the screen itself is not really very visible. So I have been rewatching Sex and the City and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah.
I do Sex and the City maybe once a year.
Really?
Yeah. It's so good.
Well, it stood the test of time. I wondered whether or not it would do, and I was like, this is such a well-written show.
The older that I get, the more that I realize how brilliant the writing was in that show. And how, like, yeah, there are some things that, like, are cancelable now about, like, trans issues and things like that. But the way they write about sexuality and interacting with men is just it was so prescient.
Yeah, and the complexity of dating when you're an intelligent, independent woman, I think it's really well done. I remember the first time I watched it, I switched it on. It was 1998, I think. It was the shower episode where they're going to a suburban baby shower. And I couldn't believe this show existed because it so reflected the conversations I was having with my friends at the time about that sort of moment of like, when are we going to have children? Is it going to, torpedo our lives as we know it? And it was just so well done. I was a fan for life, and I'm happy to say it really stands up to the test.
I remember watching with an ex of mine when we were in our 20s, and he would shout at the TV, "You're in your 30s," like because he was so dismayed that these women were like so hapless and so distracted by men and dating and all these things in their 30s. Because in our young 20s, that seemed impossible to me, to him at least. And now that I'm pushing 40. I'm watching these and I'm like, no, I get it.
No, I think 30 is much harder than dating in your 20s, right? Because there's a biological clock ticking and you know that something's going to happen. Everybody else is getting married and you're terrified you're going to be the person left
out.
Yeah.
It's such a good show. And Sarah Jessica Parker is, I think,
so good.
The most charismatic actress ever on television. She is just so...
Well, that role in particular, I think she just owned the role. When I was at Marie Claire and Cosmo, she was always my favourite person to put on the cover because she turned up on time. She was fantastically generous with her time, as were the other women, actually. We did 2 big covers for both movies. And she was always my favourite. Always my favourite.
Watching her whenever she does like a Tonight Show appearance or something like that, she just oozes charisma. Like there's something about her that I just think is so irresistible. Like she's just the most likable public person, if that makes any sense.
Well, and she's also made very good choices in her career, right? Not all actresses make great choices, but she has had an unbelievable run of shows that were, I guess, Sex and the City turned out to be eventually written for her because you could see that happening. Yeah. And just like that, which wasn't my favourite show and got cancelled after 3 seasons, as you wrote about, but she still brought everything she could to the role.
I would have nominated for an Emmy for And Just Like That, even though that show was problematic and uneven in every way. She was so good. And the scenes that they gave her to like explore what it is like in middle age to find love again and have all those insecurities and all those neuroses. I thought she was just so beautiful performing that.
Yeah, I agree. Big fan. Yeah. Big fan, as they say in Hollywood.
So the last thing I want to talk to you about, which is our segment that we do in every episode, is called Unmissable, which is where we ask our guests, what is one thing you're watching right now that you think everyone else should be watching because it is unmissable? What are you watching right now that's unmissable?
Well, the thing I just watched at the tail end of recuperating from my hip was a British show by, I think, the best writer on television, bar none, Sally Wainwright. Gentleman Jack, Happy Valley, unbelievably talented writer. And I love her because she grew up in the same area that I did in Yorkshire in the UK, which is a bit like the Texas of the UK.
I'm sure they love that description.
Well, I think they probably do like that description, actually. And she also wrote Last Tango in Halifax, which is an incredible show.
That's a great show.
Great show. Anyway, this is her most recent show. It's a 6-parter, extremely tight, called Riot Women. And the premise is not, I think, I slightly groaned at the premise, which is about a group of menopausal women getting together to form a rock band. And you're like, I know where this is going to go. You do not know where this is going to go. It's unbelievable acting, incredible acting, especially from Joanna Scanlon, who is an incredibly... She was the female... she's always the harassed, hapless female public servant in The Thick of It, which I don't know if you've watched.
Yes, I've watched that. Yeah.
Fantastic Armando Iannucci show about British politics. So good. If you haven't watched it, run to your television to watch it. But Riot Women is just unexpected. Every single episode has a cliffhanger, and it's so moving, and it's so funny, and it feels, of course, it's massively dramatic, but it just feels like someone trying to understand the best of people at the worst of times. And that's why I like it. I couldn't stop watching it.
And where does someone watch this?
On BritBox. It's on BritBox, which comes with Apple TV, actually, which I hadn't realised.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
A PSA for everyone. If you have Apple TV, a BritBox.
Yep. I think you do anyway. I don't take that to the bank. I might be wrong, but that's where I found it.
Well, that's good to say. Well, thank you for the recommendation, and thank you for chatting with me.
Well,
it's always fun to like...
Real. The only way I can chat to you is on the podcast because you're always so busy.
Well, this is really fun. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. And I'm glad that you are recovered.
And I'm glad you're recovered too. You are walking around sprightly.
I'm trying.
Energetic.
I'm trying.
You're doing good.
Less energetic than I was because I lost my hour's sleep. We have to get on top of this daylight savings thing. It's crazy.
Get rid of it. It's awful.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's to do with when people work the fields, and we're not working the fields anymore.
To have it happen on a weekend when you're just trying to relax, and then all of a sudden you've lost an hour of sleep. Yeah. It's like, come on.
It's going to take me a week to recover.
Yes. Well, we're in it together. Thank you, Joanna. That was so much fun. I want to hear from you. What do you watch when you have your own downtime? Let us know in the comments. We love to hear from you. And of course, please subscribe to us on YouTube at The Obsessed channel. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like me, follow me on Substack at obsessed.substack.com. Thank you to our producers, Devin Rogerino and Rachel Passer. And I'll see you next time.